right, and we are back, everybody, with Waid Harbison, and we are talking with him about Coleman City Parks and Rec and the different things they have going on. Absolutely. And I know this weekend we have the ASA Archery Tournament coming to town.
We do.
So.
Yeah, that's a huge event we do. We've actually had this, this will be our 4th year now to have the ASA Archery Tournament in Coleman, which has been a huge thing for the city. It's really been a great thing. The ASA is the Archery Shooters Association, so they're the national group that basically does bow hunting is what it is. So they do 3D archery targets. It's very, very cool because a lot of people think archery and they're thinking the little 2D circles on the paper kind of thing. And so actually, you know, this event is so much more dynamic and exciting than that. It's really fun to watch these guys go out there and compete. And I never knew anything about this before we started doing it, and it's just really a lot of fun. And the amount of money that they're going to competing for is huge too. But they basically put these 3D targets that are pigs and deer and things like that you would kind of shoot in the woods, and they put them out basically in the middle of the woods, and they have an archery lane that they're shooting through. And they don't know the distances, so it could be 20 yards, it could be 50 yards. They have to kind of gauge the distance and adjust their shot accordingly. And so some of these guys are in the amateur division, they have a professional division, but they give several $100,000 away in prizes every single year, which is fantastic. So huge deal for it to be here in Coleman. This year we're actually probably going to have a little bit more archers than we have had in the past. We've had about 12 or 1,300 archers from pretty much around the world. Last year we had 11 different countries represented here in Coleman for this archery tournament. They were from Britain, New Zealand, Australia, China, all over the place. And this year we're looking at probably having 1,700 to 1,800 archers here. So you're talking probably about 5,000 people in the city staying here for the weekend. All of our hotels are booked up, and a lot of these guys are staying in Decatur, Hartselle, anywhere they can find hotels that are close to here. So.
That's incredible. And I know they're really competitive.
Absolutely.
A lot of people may not know about archery and how competitive it can be.
Well, the first year we did this was in 2012, and the Olympics were going on then in London. So you had a lot of these good archers, you know, going there and everything. Well, a lot of these guys passed up going to the Olympics and shooting in the Olympics to come shoot here because the money was more. You know, obviously you don't win a whole lot of money in the Olympics other than some, you know, deals and things like that, sponsors. But some of those guys are passing up that money and that kind of glory to come here and, you know, win these archery tournaments. So it's a pretty big deal when you're sitting there and, you know, we were just kind of watching the Olympics as we were setting up, and all of a sudden some of these archers start talking about these guys that they know and everything. And, you know, they're talking about how they just passed up being at the Olympics and everything, and you're kind of like, wow, this is a really big deal.
Yeah, that's incredible. So will we have the archery tournament for the next 2 years?
Yes, we do have another contract. We were able to renew our contract for 2 more years, which has been a really, really good thing for Coleman. It's a very big economic impact on the city as far as people staying in our hotels, eating at our restaurants, and going to our local businesses, things like that. And actually the Chamber's been involved helping us kind of promote downtown a little bit more with our businesses and things. So it's been a really good thing to kind of promote downtown and get more people into the city. So it's been a fantastic event.
It's definitely beneficial as far as tourism is concerned.
Absolutely.
And, you know, for all of our businesses, all of these out-of-town visitors coming into our area, staying, you know, at our hotels, eating at our restaurants, shopping at our stores. It's just giving Coleman so much exposure. So I'm sure that has a really great economic impact on the area.
It does. And, you know, the other thing about it is just kind of the scale of the event. Really, to me, it's one of the biggest things that happens in Coleman every year. And a lot of people don't realize that it's going on because we do it down at St. Bernard. They're kind enough to let us use their running trails down there is where we have all the archery lanes going off of. So it's easy to walk, access down there and everything. But this is the biggest scale sporting event that we're coming to Coleman. You know, you got hundreds of pro athletes that are here for this event that are coming and competing for large-scale money. So it's just really, really cool to say, hey, this huge event is going on here in Coleman, just here in our backyard. So it's really, really cool.
Now, is there any prerequisites that you have to enter the tournament?
Yeah, there's a ASA has a state organization in every single one of the states. So basically, you know, if you hit certain marks or certain standards that those meet, you can qualify for this. But they do those all around the world too. So, you know, they have those. The Archery Shooters Association does the same thing in Australia and things like that. So all these guys that are good enough to come to these tournaments can come and basically compete in it. But they have a series of these 8 tournaments every single year that start in February. And the championship will be not this tournament, but the next one that's going to be going on. So this is kind of everybody's last chance to come in and get a good score and everything like that before they go into the championship. In the championship, they give away Shooter of the Year awards, where basically they add up the totals from everybody's 8 tournaments and, you know, see who the best one is, and that person wins a substantial amount of money, so on the women's and the men's side. So it's a really, really good tournament, really good thing. But some of these guys have been shooting for 20, 30 years. Some of them are new, so it's interesting to see how they're coming in, and it's a really nice sport too. I'll say that it's very much a lot of sportsmanship going on between these guys. They're friends. They talk to each other, see each other all the time. So very cool sport to be down there and see everybody getting along and kind of happy with each other. So
now, is this just one division, or is it broken up into?
It's broken up into several different divisions. You have the pro and the amateur division. So it's kind of like a big golf tournament that you would do, where you have the professionals and the amateurs division. But there's actually, with the pros, you have obviously your women's and your men's and your masters divisions for the older archers. The amateur, they have several different divisions and scales, and after you shoot certain scores, you move up to the next level, that sort of thing, until basically you can work yourself up into the pros division.
So is there anything like price-wise that you would have to know before you'd come to the?
As far as entering the tournament, the Archery Shooters Association handles all of that. So they charge different amounts for the different levels of archers. Obviously, it's going to cost more to shoot in the pro division than it would. And a lot of these guys have huge sponsors like Hoyt, Matthews, people that make bows and that sort of thing. They're sponsoring these pros. And I'm wearing a McKenzie shirt right now, so this is from one of our past archery tournaments. But they sponsor these big pro guys, just like you would see anybody else be sponsored by an athlete. And so it's really cool because all of these big bow manufacturers, they come to the archery tournament and they'll set up. And so when these pros win, if they won with the Hoyt bow, everybody wants to go over there and buy a Hoyt bow. Some of these younger new guys. So it really helps them out their business and everything like that to do that. So they do step up and sponsor a lot of those guys. So obviously they're not paying for the entry of the tournament. So
with a tournament like this, I can only imagine with the amount of people coming through, you'd have a ton of business just within that area.
Absolutely.
In terms of sponsorships and I can only imagine concessions that were there.
Sure, absolutely. So, it's the big thing for the archery tournament is we do have a lot that goes on down at St. Bernard. If you go down there, it's almost kind of like a little city set up down there. We've got tons of food vendors and lots of archery vendors and just people selling things and doing things, and there's lots of stuff going on down there. We're shuttling people around to the archery ranges, and you've got 1,500 cars parked there at any given time, so it's a very bustling place, very big thing going on. So the Archery Shooters Association does a great job. St. Bernard is partnering with us. They do a fantastic job helping us out, providing the facilities. They volunteer some of their staff to go out there and help out, and of course the City Park and Rec kind of leading the effort and putting on the tournament and everything like that. But really the big thing about the archery tournament, and like Natalie hit on it earlier, is just the huge economic impact it has on the city. And really, Park and Rec, we like to bring in these big events. We've done things like the state swim meet in the past and things like that. But I think the more things like this that you bring to Coleman, obviously, the better of an impact that you have. The more we can build up our businesses and grow and become something bigger in Coleman. So
definitely.
That's fantastic. Well, before we end here, I do have to ask because everyone always asks me. You were again working with the Coleman Parks and Recreation Department.
Absolutely.
Is it anything like the show?
Is it anything like the TV show? It's a little bit like that, maybe. I love Parks and Recreation. That's my favorite show, hands down. There's some big differences about it. It's funny because you see kind of how most Park and Rec departments work, and a lot of them do work like that. We work with a lot of other Parks and Rec across the state. And Coleman's very unique because we're very forward-thinking. We're very kind of go-getter, and we kind of have our own park board, and we're trying to raise our own money and things like that. So we're a little bit different than that, but it's a lot of fun, like the TV show is. We joke with each other, and obviously when you're working around fun and playing with kids all the time, and even fun activities, it's going to be a fun environment always. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so not exactly the same.
Not exactly. There's no Ron Swanson sitting there that's exactly against the government
my favorite.
That doesn't want to support the Park and Rec department. We do have good leadership from that level, so but it's just a little bit like that show.
Well, again, we do appreciate you being on the show.
Absolutely.
And it was
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for telling us about it. And if you'll join us in just a moment, we'll be right back.